Alright, what's up everyone? This is Endgame.
And this is Port Dog.
And we're back once again for BBB3B, the Star vs. 3B podcast, which, you know, we should, I just want to open up by saying we should win an Emmy for this name, but we're not gonna win an Emmy. But I do just want to take a moment and say that Michelle Park, the color designer for Star vs. just actually won an Emmy for outstanding achievement, so that's cool. Right?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's an Emmy award-winning show now. You're listening
right. Now, granted, it's the same caliber as Academy Award-winning Suicide Squad to a certain extent.
But now we can say that we're a podcast for an Emmy Award-winning TV show,
of course.
Which just that gives us more credibility.
Right. Yeah.
Like just this, you can't see it. Like, I'm pretty sure you can't see it because you're on a podcast, but Port can't see it either because my fingers are just, like, so close together.
Yeah, basically.
That's how much more credibility we get, but it's there.
Yeah. So it's also really nice because we were going to do this podcast yesterday on Tuesday, and it was basically going to be Endgame yelling about shipping and stuff for 25 minutes and me crying in the corner, wishing that I could escape his bedroom, but which is a pretty common experience with both of us, let's be fair here. But we got the new synopses for the season finale last night, and they're some pretty big boys, like girthy boys, like Meteora's husband's dick girth.
Wait, Meteor? We don't know who Meteora's husband is.
Eclipsa's husband.
I mean, unless there's some, like, weird, like, kinky, like, a lot in the desert bullshit going on there.
Well, no, it's important, because, you see, we know that Meteora's... We have a theory that Meteora's husband is actually a regular human, and Marco is a descendant of Meteora.
Yeah, of course. I mean, my theory from before is going to be true, obviously.
Of course.
But, yeah, so, either way, let's get into it. So, we're just going to give a quick, glossy overview of...
overview.
Same, of Mystery and Marco Jr., because there was important stuff to come out of that.
Sure.
And I'm not going to rant about shipping forever, because there's more I have to say about that moving forward, and this will all tie in. So there's no point to me ranting about this forever.
Don't worry, guys. I have ways to stop him if he goes too far.
Don't worry, it'll be fine.
It's fine.
So let's just start with Is Another Mystery. So let's get the ship stuff out of the way, because there actually is plot to talk about here, too.
Yeah.
So the one thing I do want to just point out is really the big takeaways from this episode, for me, were sort of, it was a bit of an individual improvement for Tom, but it really, to me, and I think to Port as well, just kind of highlighted, even at the ending with that happy moment, it still highlighted that there's just a whole bunch of yikes in that relationship.
Yeah, I personally was of the opinion, and I'm not going to say that, like, Tom's abusive or something like that, like, don't get me twisted, I think what he is doing isn't horrible, but there's some weird dynamic going on there that gives me some red flags that it's not a good long-term relationship.
Yeah,
he's
absolutely.
insecure. He's looking for, approval and recognition from her for what he does.
Even though he doesn't do anything.
Right.
At least until the very end, but he's looking for it beforehand.
Right.
And he's doing nothing.
And even if you are doing things for your significant other, you should never be specifically looking for validation from them, because that's not what a healthy relationship is about. It's not about the other person validating you. It's about like supporting each other. And Tom was trying to support Star, but to a certain extent he was doing it because he was like, oh, this is what boyfriends do, not this is what I want to do because I care about this person.
Yeah, pretty much, exactly. And at the very end, he did, like, credit to Tom. He stepped up. He gave a speech. It didn't really do a whole lot. It didn't help the situation. It made Star feel kind of less like shit at the end.
Yeah.
And there's some stuff I could say about, like, the wording he used, but I'm not really going to get into that. It's not super important. So really, just the important thing for me there is the thing that I want to look at moving forward, and that ending line that there's been a lot of controversy about in the fandom, that final "did I do better than Marco" line. To me, I think really just what the episode shows is at the beginning, he's crippled by this insecurity, this need for validation. It is the only thing he can think about in the relationship. It is the be-all, end-all of the relationship. And the thing the ending signifies to me is, the fact that he said it is important at the end, even after he clearly stepped up and did something for Star because he cares about her. So what that kind of says to me is that it's both. He still has these insecurities. He still has some kind of desire for validation specifically from Star, but it's no longer crippling. It's no longer the only thing he's looking at, and we'll get to it more later, but I think that particular idea of him being sensitive to his role in Star's life without being blinded by his desire for validation as a boyfriend is key moving on.
Yeah, I think one thing I had talked about in the past, I don't know if on here, but in general about Tom was that my biggest concern with his character was that he had really plateaued ever since, like, Demoncism, basically, because he just wasn't changing. And I think this is this is a bit of character development for him. It is him kind of growing into maybe caring about people more so than the titles and roles that he has.
Exactly. It's really good for Tom. And then,
Right.
the one thing I do want to mention is another big issue that I've seen going around is there really isn't much talk about Star. Everyone talks about Tom and his intentions and just kind of assumes that Star is going to follow one way or the other. That, people that theorized that Tom's ending line was a signifier that he hadn't changed at all and that he was just guilt-tripping her were like, oh, Star should just instantly dump him. Or people that were saying, like, oh, Tom did a good thing and ignore the ending entirely, or just like, oh, Star should love him now. And just really ignoring Star's agency as a character. Now,
Right.
I'm not saying that she should hate him more over doing a good thing. In character, it doesn't make sense for that. But the thing to consider is, at the beginning of the episode, she just doesn't really care about him. She only starts talking because he awkwardly tries to drag it out of her in a very awkward scene.
Yeah.
And then the instant that Marco shows up, she's instantly receptive to Marco. And when they're about to go on the adventure, she hears Tom and Marco arguing, and Tom saying he should get to go because he's the boyfriend. And she goes, shut up, Marco, let's go. So
Right.
she's, she is still putting, I mean, this happened as early on as the moment Marco came back in Sweet Dreams in 3A, where Tom is her boyfriend, but that's it. He's her stress relief ball, in a sense, of just like when she wants someone to to go on dates with, Tom's there. But for everything else in her life, it's just Marco.
Right.
And that's a red flag from Star's side of things too. And I do think from the moment that Star and Tom leave and go on the adventure, I would put a lot of the, fault in that dynamic in Tom's sense, because Star had something she wanted to accomplish and Tom wasn't coming through.
He was very apathetic about it. He seemed that he was like, he's not here. I guess we'll just leave and go home, which is, has Tom ever actually met Buff Frog before? Not really.
Yeah, not until that end.
Not really. So like,
yeah, but
I guess to a certain extent he doesn't have a reason to care.
Again,
but he should care by
because
proxy.
Star, exactly, and and the thing with that is, the thing with that is, Tom doesn't have a reason to care. He should care by proxy, but on a broader sense, if you look at the very beginning of the episode or the broader themes, Star has a lot of the fault too. Mm-hmm. It's just we keep seeing it in situations where Star has something important going on and Tom's not helping. But the fact that, on a broader sense, Star is putting no trust in him whatsoever, that's a red flag from both sides. Right. So moving forward, we're going to be looking at that as well. We also want to talk about the plot of this episode a little bit.
Yeah,
because
just for a tad.
The monsters are leaving and citing that Star can't fix things. So we haven't really seen much about the monster plot, the monster-human relations. We just saw that, they clearly weren't fixed in Monster Bash.
Of course.
And then there was really nothing more about it. So it seems like it's either gotten worse or
it was one of those things maybe Star got everyone's hopes up and they just
didn't come to fruition.
I can't imagine it got worse.
Well, so the comment you got to make there then is, and we'll get into this more in a bit, but looking forward, we're seeing a lot more of Meteora popping up, and Meteora is being referred to as like a monster princess by the synopses. So it's very possible that she's been in the background
doing
somewhere
something that we haven't heard about.
And it's affecting monsters.
Right,
So that's an option, but one way or another. Basically, just kind of, it's the monsters are leaving, which I don't want to see Buff Frog go. I'm sad now.
Right.
That foreshadowing about maybe when you're in charge, we'll come back. And
also
finger guns
on top of some stuff we'll talk about later, and that whole thing where we got that 2 sentences about season 4 where it said Star was like
learning
queen,
to rule or something.
Learning.
It was like a pretty
weird wording.
It was because in season 3 it was about her learning to be a princess, which is kind of like doing her like royal duty, but still princess, whereas the thing in season 4 is talking about like learning to rule, that's a different implication. Right.
Yeah.
Who knows exactly what will happen, but the monsters are gone. It could be something with Meteora. Not really sure on that front. I don't want to say, and really what it does in the end is it kind of just makes Star feel useless, which, she already kind of had that identity crisis of not being a princess anymore. And then you kind of have you could say, she's not a princess, but she's, accomplished these things. And then this episode is, you didn't accomplish these things.
Right.
So everything is just kind of crashing down, and nothing's really been fixed. I mean, Tom makes her feel a little bit better about not being 100% hopeless, but it's not a long-term emotional thing. Star is still moving forward, gonna have some emotional turmoil over this, I think.
Right. And, moving on to Marco Jr., which unfortunately was not an episode about Marco discovering how to masturbate or something like that. Really disappointed in that. But it was the 11 minutes specifically were really just a bunch of memes.
Yeah,
it was a very memey episode.
It was a very wholesome and entertaining episode. It brought back, I'm not saying that Earth was, like, a fantastic setting and all the characters on Earth are, like, I miss them dearly, but it's nice to kind of get, like, the highlight reel of the type of humor that Angie and Raphael bring to the table for an episode.
Yeah, it was also nice to see that the family they were obsessing about having dinner with, they're friends with now. It's
exactly.
Wholesome
the Morrisons
couples.
Exactly, the Morrisons actually bonding with the Diaz.
Yeah,
it's a good thing I have absolutely encyclopedic knowledge of the show.
Yeah, thanks.
Because I can just bring up any obscure facts.
Gustav being back,
okay hand. All right, that's just exciting.
Yeah.
But so really the sort of
Meatballs Part 2, dude.
Exactly. So the important things in this episode, really,
all right, that's saying
I mean, Angie being pregnant, XD, whether that, I just assume that at some point the baby will exist in the show.
Right.
Just judging by the rough way time passes in a per season, per episode basis, the baby will be born within the length of the show. Like
I'd probably expect it to be somewhere in 4A,
exactly,
probably early to mid 4A.
Exactly,
honestly.
and whether how immediately relevant it is to anything in the show, I don't know. We don't even know what the status quo will be. We don't know what the setting will be. Will they be on Earth? Will they be on Muni? We don't know.
I think it'll probably just be. At the very least, we'll get like a babysitting 2.0 episode where Star and Marco probably have to babysit his younger sibling, and it's a throwback to the buff baby babysitting.
It's the continuation of Darren Nefsey's grand adventure to see how much she can like forecast Star and Marco being a married couple without actually having teen marriage in the show.
Yeah.
Because we had Star Setting 1.0, we had there were a bunch of other eps that did minor things, and then we got Star Setting 1.0, and then we had Nightlife, which was literally the exact trope of the newlywed couple crashing out of the honeymoon phase and having to deal with life.
Right.
It was that trope to a T, except with a retarded ancient deity instead of a child.
Yep.
And with Star and Marco being princess and squire instead of husband and wife.
Yeah, but as Endgame's written about before, those squire vows were interesting.
Yeah, I mean that's.
But yeah,
I digress. My point being that this is it's a thing that the show has done before, is kind of drawing these parallels, and
sure,
whether or not it will happen, I can't say, but having another one of these, just laying it on even thicker, I'm a fan. Right. I can do it. I'm happy with that.
The main thing that we really saw from this episode was the part at the end where Star knows Marco literally inside and out, everything about him, can perfectly fill out a questionnaire. I see those eyebrows, Endgame.
Knows him inside and out.
Yeah, what with her 6 fists?
Yeah, exactly. Squire. What was it? You were talking about how many? Yeah, can you fit all 6 puberty fists on someone's asshole?
I mean, you'd probably need a lot of lube, honestly.
A lot
of lube.
A lot of lube, and maybe some magic.
Normally you can only get I've seen 3 fists in an asshole before, on a porno once, but that was weird.
Yeah, so maybe with some magic. Yeah,
some magic
possible.
maybe.
Anything's
magic,
possible.
Expand ass.
I mean, Eclipsa was able to have a child with Monster Host Mondo.
That's a good point.
So clearly, expanding is within the realm of magical butterfly. Yeah, that's something, that type of magic. Whether or not it's magic or magic with air quotes, it's accessible to the butterflies. So
damn straight.
Either way, the thing that's really interesting there is. You can comment on, okay, yeah, Star takes the personality test, which is, literally knowing Marco better than anyone, perfectly knowing him. That moment at the end, the "you're beautiful" and the hug, it's the same.
Wholesome.
It's wholesome, and to me, it's it kind of says a couple things. So, I think it's the same type of thing that we've sort of been seeing throughout 3A, where you can't draw anything conclusive from it, but you see all of these moments, and you're just yeah, no, she's definitely not, whatever is going on there, it's definitely not just, a completely standard platonic something or other.
Well, yeah, because Marco's angling.
I mean, yeah, but from Star's side entirely. Marco had nothing to do with it there.
That's a good point.
It was literally just Marco's face went back to normal, and that was enough for her to, swoon all over him. But, and then the other point to sort of bring up on that same topic is... it's the way it's juxtaposed with mystery, because Mystery gave us this whole Tom versus Marco dynamic, and Tom's whole speech had stuff like about a tail and being a monster, and Star was like, oh, I didn't know any of this stuff. And then you just go into Marco Jr. and you're like, I know everything about you, Marco.
Right, and it's like she dated Tom before for months.
And the thing is, they've been going to the Silver Bell Ball with each other. I mean,
for years.
We don't know exactly what the status of their relationship is until they started dating, but they've known each other to some capacity since they were kids.
And they've been dating this time for 6 months or so.
Ish.
And if she doesn't know that's weird,
Yeah, and
I feel I had a tail, I'd probably tell girls on like the first date, see if that could get me
That'd be on your Tinder profile. That'd be on your Tinder profile.
That would be my Tinder profile, right under 6'1" and meme lord.
Yeah, exactly. But so just the juxtaposition really stood out to me there. As like, let's have an episode where Tom directly contrasts his relationship with Star and Marco's with Star, and then you got one that just shows how fucking strong Marco's relationship with Star is, and you're just like, thinking emoji.
Right, and then we have an episode coming up next week where you take Star and Marco and cram them into a small confined space for a indeterminate amount of time.
Exactly.
But we'll get there.
Yeah. So, and then I guess the other thing just to sort of mention is like the moral of the day that Marco learned was that, he was putting everything into Muni, and he was kind of ignoring his family. See, the thing that's interesting to me there, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier, and we're making comparisons to Sophomore Slump, and I think it's something there, but I feel like it's the same type of thing. Like, like Tom's role in Monster Bash is another mystery. Technically speaking, they both kind of had the same underlying issue, but it was a different framing. Because in Sophomore Slump, Marco was really hung up on things he did and the ideal of Muni, and then it comes crashing down on him when he goes, and everything is different, and it's not what he thought it would be, and he learns that he even though he was a valuable emotional support there, he didn't actually physically accomplish anything during that battle.
Right. He's not a warrior. He's a competent fighter, sure, for a 15-year-old against Ludo's incompetent monsters.
Sure.
But he's not going to go out there and be a general.
Exactly. Well, not yet. All right, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
But, so...
We've been saying that a lot.
And whereas now he's actually gotten to the point where the thing that I actually really appreciate about that episode is he talks about going to the Squire Mixer, it's implicit and it doesn't really stand out too much, but it's actually a really nice background progression from when he first came to Muni, because when he first came to Muni, the only reason he was accepted whatsoever was because Star let him in, and he had no standing or affiliation as an individual. He was only there in relation to Star. And then Nightlife was that first someone validating him. He didn't ask for it. He earned it through actions, but validating oh, you're doing a good job as a Squire. For Star, but still, Marco is making a name for himself as an individual in his role.
Sure.
And so, I feel like in a sense it's the same type of thing as Sophomore Slump, but it's framed really differently, and it has different implications in that regard. That in this case, it's Marco throwing himself
He's throwing himself at his future as opposed to his
exactly.
past.
He's not reminiscing on some warped nostalgic ideal. He's
power leveling his social power in Muni,
and
so that he can be in high enough regard to marry the to-be queen, of course.
Exactly, and
of course that's his end goal.
I mean, they literally say Raphael literally says Star stole their son. So
yikers.
I mean,
that line about with the royal guard, and you've already stolen one of our sons.
That's the Diaz's at their finest.
Yikes.
That's fantastic, honestly.
Yeah, that episode,
it's just an experience. Yeah, I appreciate it.
That was an experience.
I highly appreciate it.
So
let's talk about meme theories here for a minute. So what do you got here? What do you want to lay on?
Okay, so we were talking about some stuff earlier before the podcast started, and made me realize something. We were talking about this whole Tom and Star, Star and Marco, how is this whole shipping thing gonna play out? And we will talk about that later. But I had a really good solution to this problem.
All right, lay it on me.
And this is something I have talked about a little before. This is the double harem ending. So essentially, this is an endgame scenario where Star and Marco are together ruling Muni, but they both have full-sized harems comprised of other characters. Like, you look over on Marco's side, and Season 2 was like the season where Marco assembled his harem. And he's gotten a few more members since then. But it was really Season 2 in particular. You know, he got, Jackie. He's got Jana. He's got, he's got Kelly now. He's got Higgs. Probably still got Hekapoo in your back pocket if you ever need her,
I mean, Tom might swing the other way once or twice. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen plenty of Tom Starco fan art to know that is a definite fact at this point.
You can just get rid of Star there. There's plenty of Tom Go, dude.
Yeah, that too. You might got a little, you got a few other side characters, floating around. Maybe with Brittany, bring her back as 4chan always likes to. On Star's side, sure, right now we only really have like Tom and Marco, but you probably also have Jackie, as we also know from all the
she probably bats for the other side.
Very canon fan content we've seen. You probably have like Rich Pigeon,
Yeah, there's a distinct lack of teenage males in this show that are actual characters.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You know what? You probably also have I could very much see Tad and Kelly kind of doing like a swingers thing where they're kind of their own thing, but they still fuck other couples. I
mean, Tad's got a lot of hands, dude.
Tad has a lot of hands, and I also have a theory that Tad's a little cuck, so he's probably hiding in Kelly's hair, watching her get absolutely plowed by the real man Marco. But Star, as we've talked about before, is a bit of a dom, so he'd probably be into that kind of shit. He's probably over in there.
Who knows?
I assume, and maybe in Season 4 we'll get one more male high schoolish aged character to actually be relevant. That'd be neato. Maybe Pony have a boyfriend.
I mean, I was gonna say maybe that, and honestly, just not to go into that too deep, but honestly, given, in my opinion, I honestly feel like Tom is just gonna be that character, because right now he actually has not yet once had a chance to shine like he did in Friend Enemies. Friend Enemies is the one episode of the show right now where we've had an extended duration of Tom's character not being completely burdened down by absolutely crippling personal issues.
Right?
Personal issues are one thing, but the point where his character is absolutely eviscerated by those issues to the point where you don't even get to see his personality as a friend at all. And even in Season 3, we just haven't really seen that at all. With a very, there's been bits and pieces here and there.
Sure.
But an actual, full episode of, Tom going along on an adventure where
and
he's just being himself. Exactly.
Where
all this triangliness is done, and he's just a friend to both parties.
Sure.
That's a lot. You saw in Is Another Mystery, the burlap sack thing when he's running around in that. Friend Enemies. Both of those were, but they were they were funny and they were unique to Tom. They're you could tell it was his personality shining through there.
And it was probably the high point of that episode, honestly.
Yeah, no, and it was really cool. And you see, I like Tom. I don't hate Tom at all.
Same.
I want to see more of him in the future, just not in a role where every dynamic is fucked constantly because of all of these weird emotional issues. Just have him there as a character and a friend once all of this is done, and he'll be great. So my, I'm trying to think, I had it on the tip of my tongue, what exactly my meme theory for the episodes we got were. Oh, okay. So this is just my meme theory, and I just wanna, it's not really a meme theory because it's basically canon. Okay, I want you to tell me, Port, how do you think? We're gonna have a little bit of discussion. It's not just a theory.
Okay.
What do you think the Diaz's life has been like since Marco was gone?
Okay, so
because so here's the thing. We're just gonna get this out of the way. Okay, so I just want to get your rough estimate. How long after Marco left did they fuck?
7 minutes.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Because it took about 7 minutes to get
from the school
to the bed. Well, yeah,
they were at the school.
Oh, they were at the school. So they drove home, went up to the bed. They went in separate rooms, changed into some nice, sexy clothing for each other. He slathered some guacamole on his dick. She put on some lingerie, got the sombrero out, the whole 9 yards, as the Diaz's do. And they have been essentially fucking nonstop. Because I have no evidence to prove that they have jobs.
No, they actually do. They actually do.
They?
Okay. I don't remember Raphael's, but hold on. Okay, keep talking real quick.
So
keep talking about some fucking.
So, well, didn't they get a bunch of fucking money from, River and Moon at the beginning of the show? Probably.
No, they didn't.
They probably did. They just wasn't shown. Considering what they just dropped on the fucking principal, probably also exists. Just drops him over onto the onto the Diaz's as well to help him out a little bit for dealing with Star. And so they probably just at this point, as soon as Marco left, they quit their jobs, and they have been actually fucking non-stop.
That's a completely reasonable assumption. I would say even if they weren't, they definitely. The first one was definitely pretty soon after. So yeah. I can tell you right now that I'm trying to find it in my lovely copy.
Oh, here's
a copy of the guidebook. So Raphael is an artist. I mean, that was kind of obvious.
Oh,
so,
yeah, that's right.
His work is probably not the greatest for monetary stuff. But Angie's actually a poetry teacher.
Shit.
She's actually a poetry teacher at community college.
So their income is probably within the ballpark of $40,000 a year.
Yeah, it's not it's not that much.
Yeah,
they
maybe
also
50.
They also live pretty modestly, and for the last year they had fucking Star who could just make magic at if they needed something, whatever, just Star could be magic.
Right, and a son who made $650 a month in royalty fees.
Yeah, exactly. So they're well off enough. But,
yeah, they're doing okay. But I think they've just been fucking nonstop.
I mean, that makes sense. That's basically canon. Like, it's the way their character is.
Maybe that's why they're such good friends with Robinsons now.
They're swingers.
Yeah, of course.
It's the Morrisons, by the way.
Well, yeah, fucking Robinsons, Morrisons, meet the Morrisons, whatever. That's the Disney movie, right? Meet the Morrisons. Exactly, we're perfect.
Exactly, the movie about swinger couples.
Of course.
Coming to you next week on the Disney Channel at 8 p.m.
Yeah, dude. That's what's going on there. I can guarantee it. There's some. I'm just convinced that everyone in the show is a massive sexual degenerate, with the exception of
Jana, because that'd be funny. If Jana was, the one person that was, completely, normal.
Vanilla as shit, yeah, probably. Probably that, and, one of Ponyhead's siblings, probably. But only one of them.
No, I feel like all of them would probably actually, legitimately murder anyone that they got in bed with, just by accident. They're all insane. They're all, literally the definition of don't stick your dick in crazy.
Yeah, guys, just remember, don't stick your dick in crazy.
But, alright.
Life lessons
so we got that out of the way. So, let's talk about future stuff here. So let's just do a quick rundown of the synopses, just for the context. And then we'll kind of talk about what it all means.
Sure.
So next week we've got coming up Schooled, an episode where all we know about it from both synopses and official promo material is Ponyhead goes back to St. Olga's for some reason, and for whatever reason they're it's still being run by the princesses themselves, and it still kind of has a memey brunch and partying type feel, but they're actually giving exams on brunch. So for whatever reason the curriculum is tougher now, is the way the synopsis phrases it.
Which is just weird.
And that's all we know about the episode. I mean, literally nothing else about it.
The only thing we can maybe hope for is
We'll get into that.
Okay, sure.
In order to make predictions about what else could be happening, it helps to know what's happening in the future, which we'll get to. Booth buddies, Star and Marco are at a wedding. Whether or not they're just the two of them.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, who knows? But they're at a wedding and they get trapped in a photo booth.
Right, and we have a tiny little teaser from Alex Hirsch on Twitter.
That he's voicing the character. I mean, it doesn't mean...
he's voicing a character there, and we saw the corner of the box. It looked like the one from Bounce Lounge.
Yeah, so that's
Shrug, whatever.
So, basically what we can tell from that, the only thing we can tell from that is we don't know what's going to happen, but just given the fact that basically the way to move forward each and every single component of the character dynamic arcs, not even just romantic relationship, but every single weird thing going on with Star feeling sad, Marco having unrequited feelings, Marco throwing himself maybe that'll come up, him throwing himself too much into his role as Squire, who knows, her with her feelings on Tom, if not her relationship with Tom directly. Mm-hmm. Every single one of these things can be dramatically impacted by Star and Marco actually talking to each other in a heartfelt manner of any kind. Even whether or not they actually talk about feelings, whether or not they just talk about Star's issues that she was trying to talk to Tom about earlier in Mystery, whether, that would potentially catalyze things along. Because right now, really just the issue is Star is kind of boxed up Marco is...
she's kind of going it alone right now.
She's going it alone, but it's a result of the way that things have been going early on. That when she brings Marco back into her... So here's the thing is, I just want to make a quick point on this. Yeah? Whatever. Sorry, we thought we had an interruption there. But the one quick point that I do want to make is that basically when Star reads her squire vows off, her squire vows are the exact same things that he fulfilled as just her standard best friend in season 2.
Sure.
But it was the whole point of, on a broader level, obviously Star wasn't thinking about this, but sort of analyzing, character actions. The purpose of it was, what we saw from season 2 was if Star has an completely emotionally open relationship with Marco, where he's her best friend, advisor, confidant, all of that, and she's open with him about everything. I mean, season 2 was literally the journey of how that relationship went from, that to romantic feelings. And that was what her heart was trying to avoid, because that's what hurt her in Scent of a Hoodie, right? That's what she was trying to get over. So, framing it around the Squire, what that basically is everything except the complete, frank, emotional openness. And we've seen that. They haven't really talked about anything seriously, and the times that they've talked about things seriously were talking seriously in a deep way about actions. Like in Nightlife and Deep Dive. They talked about her sweet portaling stuff, but not about themselves or her feelings or his feelings or her troubles or his troubles. None of that. So just jump-starting that once more would catalyze everything. And who knows exactly what will happen, but that's what we're looking forward to. And there's some, at this point in time, it's just safe to say something major is going to progress as a result of Booth Buddies. We don't know exactly what, we don't know exactly how, but I just feel comfortable ruling out the possibility that it's an 11-minute meme episode that means nothing.
Right. There's no way.
And if
there's not enough time left in the season.
Exactly. And and as far as premise goes, if there's a group outing there, I have a feeling it just it depends. I could be wrong here, but I have this feeling personally that just after the way things have been going and the way Star's been going about things, if Tom is there, it's not going to be like a super official, like, they're all over each other plus one thing. It's just going to be they're going because they're a group. I mean, that's what Monster Bash was, right? Tom wasn't there as, like, her date and partner. They were just all there at the event together. And yes, they are boyfriend and girlfriend, but, his role in being there wasn't specifically to be her arm candy. And I would expect similar here. But now, if Tom is there, that changes a whole lot about how the ending of the episode could go. Depending on what exactly happens in that booth. And memes aside about what could be happening in that booth, I mean literally in the sense of if Tom is physically present when he watches Star, or when he overhears or sees the aftermath of Star effectively falling for Marco again, memes might happen. Who knows?
Yeah, memes. Memes is a good word for it.
Either way. Then,
so, looking forward is the next episode.
The next one is Bam Wee Petit.
Bam Wee Petit. So, Bam my Petit, daddy.
So, this one, the thing that's interesting is this one is, again, we only have the synopsis for it, and it just tells us that Ponyhead is watching a Korean drama or something like that. It's Ponyhead, like, locks herself in her room to watch the finale of her favorite Korean drama or something along those lines.
Which is the thing.
Now, so here's the things about that. First off, the Wikipedia page for Korean drama actually defines the genre. I mean, there is a type of Korean drama that's like things based off of historical, like basically historical fiction.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know, but is basically all Korean dramas set in contemporary times are heavily focused on relationships. That's like the way the genre operates.
Yeah.
So, it's in season 2 on Star vs. the Forces of Evil, we saw Just Friends, which was an episode that had the three of them going to a concert, and there were the band itself throughout season 2, and then specifically the songs that were played in that episode, all very heavily mirrored the progression and the changes occurring in the relationship arc throughout the season, and most notably in that episode, we're going along with it.
Right.
And we now have in the, literally, I mean, it's the A segment instead of the B segment, but it is the same position as Just Friends was.
Right.
The episode before the finale, like, that sets up things for the finale. And we have another piece of media that is implied to be about relationships. Right. And then you also have, just as a quick aside, is Avatar: The Last Airbender had an episode called The Ember Island Players. Now, It's been a long time. I never religiously watched that, but I've watched enough of it that I've probably seen that episode at some point.
I have. I saw it actually very recently.
Okay,
excellent. So I can talk about it a little bit.
Great, I'll let you take it.
Essentially what that is that episode kind of comes out as a... It's near the end of the show, I think it's like... It's a few episodes before the 4-part finale, and it's essentially like a meme about the entire show so far. Like, it's this weird, like, altered version of their story told as if they're like the villains and the Fire Nation is the heroes. And it kind of has this whole thing where like there's this thing where I believe Katara's character is implied to have these romances with another character, and Aang gets kind of hot and bothered about it. It does actually jumpstart him kind of re-engaging their romance, because it started in early season 3 kind of, and it had this weird like really cringy awkward part in the middle, and it kind of revitalizes him wanting to try it again. And I mean, I feel like that episode, it's a different context. I don't expect Patty to literally be a parody of season 3A or something like that.
Well, I mean, my point,
It could be, though. That'd be dank as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'll be a parody of the whole season, but just the point is, it is a very... both in Starverses with different types of media and in other TV shows with... I mean, a play and a TV show, they serve the same purpose, right?
Sure.
So it's
a play inside play. It's Hamlet.
Exactly.
Hamlet,
everybody. Play inside a play. It's a common trope. And, again, we can't say anything, but and we'll get into why I think that this is even more relevant now, because we know what the finale is going to broadly look like. Mm-hmm. Very broadly look like. And why I basically am even more sure now than ever that Bamwi is going to be a significant episode in this arc. Springboarding off that meme idea of, like, the play within a play Korean drama, but it's going to something, however exactly the episode is, because, let's be real, Pony holding herself up in a room to watch a TV show isn't an episode. That's an event that frames an episode, but other things happen. Just like Angie being pregnant wasn't the episode, it was the catalyst for the actual happenings of the episode.
Yeah.
So, there's going to be actual happenings in this episode that are catalyzed by Pony, and the way they phrase it is she's holding herself up, which makes me think, like, she's trying to avoid other people. So if there aren't other people trying to get in contact with her, why does her holding herself up matter? That's my thought. It's going to be like the gang tries to rescue Ponyhead from herself, and then on the inside, she's like, my theory is on the inside she's watching the show, and then on the outside they're doing stuff. And it's like, they're mirrored. And then, I mean, I could see a meme at the end where Pony literally just fucking turns off the show and goes to watch them. Like, at some point. Like, that would be great. That'd be great. That'd be a good meme.
That would be hilarious.
Who knows,
So, moving on to the Tough Love.
Which, Tough Love,
Tough Love is essentially the plot setup to the season finale.
And that's really, going in, like, there was a brief window of time when we only knew the week 5 synopses, not the finale ones. And my first thought was, okay, this makes me think that it's going to be a different type of thing than season 2 was. Because in season 2, there was no actual major plot setup going into the finale. Star Crushed itself was the plot setup for Battle for Muni, which was the actual thing. And since we said, okay, well, week 5 is like a clear setup for big plot shit to happen immediately, which is like, okay, so the finale is going to actually be the final component of this. And then looking at the finale synopses, my suspicions pretty much got confirmed.
I think we were...
curtains close in season 3, episode 21, and that's end of the season arc right there. Right. You're not going to spill over again like
we might have relationship arcs spill over, because relationship and character, at least character arcs will obviously spill over into season 2.
Here's
just how character arcs are.
I've talked about this before, and it's, you have art, but arcs, an arc isn't, if you want to almost, like, just not to get too technical here, but mathematically speaking, if you sort of look at the definition of an arc, it's sort of a component, like a curve, right? Like a component of a curve with a finite portion. And then there will be a new curve later on, or perhaps the arc, if you're thinking, just imagine like a wave, just picture in your mind, like a standard wave. And it might, the progression of a character might not be a clean oscillating up and down, but you can take the character's whole thing and chunk it into specific arcs with high points and low points. And the season, in my opinion, is going to address the specific arc of the season
that's fair.
More or less fully at the end of the season. Now, that won't solve everything for the characters.
Of course not.
It will. The end of one arc can lead to a new one, but there will still be a resolution of sorts for that leg of their journey.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's, I'm going to get into that a little bit. I'm not going to harp on it too long, but I'll get into that at least for what it means for all the characters.
Yeah. probably want to... So the actual plot stuff that we know is happening...
For Tough Love.
Is that
Moon and Eclipsa go to
track down Meteora...
And bring her back to the castle.
Right, because apparently she's been... It says that she's been causing some sort of rampage.
The wording is very weird. That Meteora has done... That Princess Meteora, which they worded as, has done a ton of destruction, and they bring her back peacefully to the castle. They don't say that they try. They say they do bring her back peacefully to the castle. And then we get hit by the divide and conquer synopses, which are Moon is apparently missing.
Which is yikers.
And Star has to go looking for her, and in the meantime, and we mentioned this earlier about Marco not being a warrior, well, Star now they divide, because Star, and maybe someone else, who knows, but Star goes looking for Moon, where Marco and his warriors, which is the wording, try to delay Meteora.
Right.
And then Conquer is Star must find the courage to face Meteora alone and make a decision that will change the kingdom forever.
So, I mean, probably what I see going with that is, Star finds Moon. Moon is dead or dying or incapacitated. And she gets back to the castle, and Marco and whoever his warriors are have been defeated. They're not dead.
Maybe captured.
Maybe just laying in a pile somewhere, whatever. And then she has to get her big boy pants on and kick the shit out of Meteora and probably kill her or something like that.
Yeah, and and the thing is,
or she decides to. I don't really know what else. It says a decision that'll shape the kingdom forever or whatever.
That's vague. That's really
so vague.
And one thing I want to point out here, Eclipsa is nowhere in the finale
Which synopses. Is interesting, because we know that she's in Tough Love. There's no way she's not relevant to Meteora.
There's no way she's not, but the other thing is, I want to say, oh, she's going to side with Meteora, but if Meteora is, rampaging and, planning to take over the castle or whatever the fuck she's actually trying to do here... What exactly? Because right now all we know is Eclipsa wanted to know where her daughter was, where will Eclipsa align with Meteora's goals?
Right.
She instinctively,
what even are Meteora's
exactly?
goals?
We instinctively assume that Eclipsa is aligning with Meteora as a person because she's her daughter and that's who Eclipsa's been looking for, but. And does Eclipsa have goals of her own that will change it? Because technically speaking, it's Moon and Eclipsa go looking for Meteora, and then Meteora is apparently making an offensive. So, Meteora's making an offensive, and Eclipsa is nowhere to be seen in the synopses. So it very well could be possible that Eclipsa is directing something about what's happening.
Yeah, which is possible, or maybe she does something and Meteor just backhands her out of the rest of the season. Who fucking knows?
Yeah,
we don't know.
Yeah, so the thing that's interesting there to me is, considering Tough Love says that they go to find Meteora and they bring her back peacefully to the castle, and yet the synopsis for Divide says delay her from getting to the castle. My thought is that the synopsis is basically giving away the plan, and then the plan doesn't work.
Yes.
And it's they find Meteora, and then Star gets captured, or Moon gets captured, and Eclipsa
just gets fucking shanked or something.
Question mark. So now we have Moon is somewhere else, and Meteora, they found her, and then Meteora's gonna take their, trace their path back to the castle for whatever reason.
Yeah. I'm kind of the opinion that whether it's through death or disability or just losing faith in, humans or whatever, I kind of expect Moon to be mostly out of commission for season 4, honestly.
Yeah, who knows?
I that's just kind of my theory going forward. I don't have a ton of basis for it. I just feel like it's a direction the show might go.
I saw a meme theory that was that Meteora, in theory, the other thing that we don't really know is how much of Heinous is still relevant. How much of Heinous' motivations and character. I mean, obviously we assume her personality is probably similar, but how much of her motivations as the former St. Olga's headmaster are relevant? Now, if she's popping up in school, then that might answer some questions there.
Right.
But another thing I saw was she has that, whatever the sucker thing is that she was using on other princesses.
Moon the Succ.
But the thing is, Moon actually being a butterfly princess might fucking supercharge her. From what we saw, all she was doing with the other princess's magic was, getting, some youth back, and then getting her youth back, basically. And at least the only visible effect we got out of it in Turdina was, she was looking really, tired and ragged, and then she got her, not youth, but her not completely 300-something-year-old person look coming back with the Succ.
Right.
So, who knows exactly what it is, what the machine is doing, but I just have a suspicion that if it were to be used on an actual, butterfly with, fully powered magic, it would do something pretty powerful. Maybe that's an option, and
maybe.
The thing I read about it is it would give a really interesting season 4 where Moon is still in the picture, but Moon is no longer
she's
queen
completely depowered
because she's depowered. So Star is acting queen still effectively, but you still have Moon. That's a good way to put it. She wouldn't have to be full queen. She would be
right. Yeah.
It would take, if she was, because we've seen that Moon is incredibly busy. So if Star is actually 100% queen. That would, it could happen, but it would change a lot about...
Right. She would either be a shitty-ass queen, or the show would be a lot of fucking meetings and paper signings.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I don't expect.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about.
So,
we don't know exactly what's going to happen there. The one other point I want to make, and I am just going to tie this in because, again, I don't want to harp on it, but I do think it's really relevant, right? And it's really relevant if for no other reason than week 3 we're seeing that the way the relationship situation is right now is basically preventing anyone from actually being happy or having emotional closure. Yeah. Which is just important to them as people and important to their ability
to fight a essentially battle against Meteora.
Yeah,
if they're a bunch of hormonal, messy,
emotional wrecks that
teenagers in the finale, Marco and his warriors are going to kind of turn into Marco and Tom having a slap fight while Meteora beats the living shit out of Kelly or something like that. It's not going to be very, very good.
Yeah. So the thing that I want to talk about is we didn't really know much of anything going into Divide, other than at the 15-minute mark, Marco and Tom are sitting in a forest, not looking at each other and looking kind of awkward. And, that didn't change. That is still a thing that happens, and we have a little bit more context to it now.
Yeah.
We know that Star's not there, so that's context number 1. And the other thing that I want to posit is that I think that, a lot of people were talking about, the possibility if Booth Buddies and/or Bambi Patty didn't kill the love triangle before the finale, that Divide could do it because we didn't know what Divide was. We thought maybe the 3 of them were on an adventure together, and over the course of them trying to tackle plot stuff, it would basically be is another mystery but with Marco there. The 3 of them doing something. And what we're seeing now is not only is that not happening, but the way I'm seeing it, and I could be wrong here, but when you have 2 different groups splitting, planning a mission, splitting up, and then 2 different groups that both have their own missions, to me, that seems like the synopsis is a blanket that covers the entire episode without leaving much. Whereas the Conquer synopsis, in my mind, that could be anywhere from, the climactic final couple scenes to just the climactic moment.
Yeah,
that's
very fair.
So, Divide to me is standing out as, big shit happens in Tough Love. Star has to become acting queen. They have to plan out what they're doing, and they go their separate ways, and they both have their missions, and screen time is going to have to split between them.
Yeah.
I think it's going to take up almost the entire episode, which basically means there is no time for Tom and Star breakup or Tom and Star feeling stuff, which means either it has to be solved before then, or we go into this with everything, or the finale itself, from start to finish, effectively, just has everything being really fucking awkward, and...
Which would be probably bad for the show.
Here's the thing, it's bad for the show, and it's bad in character, too, for a couple reasons, because, again, just because I can make a fairly safe assumption, I think, that Tom is not going to replace Marco's role in the show. Some people have looked at as another mystery and said, Tony Stark gets stronger. But I'm just going to make the assumption that Tom doesn't replace Marco. And I'm going to make another safe assumption that as far as emotional high points of the show between 2 teenage characters, it's going to be Star and Marco all the time. The season finale, big, relationship-related moment, in whatever form it takes. I'm not talking romantic. I'm just saying, Battle for Muni had a similar, the Toffee hug, right? Or the hug in the episode Toffee.
Yeah, yeah.
We would assume that any similar huge moment in the finale will be between Star and Marco. Now, picture it for a moment where Marco has completely, picture the situation where Marco has unrequited feelings for Star. Star's clearly prioritizing him 100%. even if Bamwi doesn't do anything, even if Booth Buddies doesn't do much, we can still very much say that Star has these, like, repressed feelings for Marco somewhere. So I'm just going to say, I would feel... You're going to appreciate this, because I'm going to go a different way with this. I would feel really fucking bad for Tom if they weren't broken up into the finale. Because if we take that situation where Tom is probably... I don't know how relevant he'll be in Conquer, but Tom is relevant in the plot. He's an actual character with feelings that isn't a cardboard person like Jackie was.
Right.
And then imagine Battle for Muni, except the hug was about 10 times more emotional and Jackie had to watch through a plexiglass window.
Yeah.
That's what it would do to Tom.
Yeah.
And that's...
Be yikers.
Like, even not counting my own reasons for caring, just within the context of the characters as people, it would just be a train wreck to do that.
Yeah, we'd pretty yikers.
It would make everything worse for the sake of artificial relationship drama, which
hasn't truly been the MO.
It hasn't been the way things have been going, and there's no reason in my mind for it to go that way.
Now, my friend, I have a very important question to ask you.
Sure.
Going into Season 4, why do you think that Tad will become the most important character?
Okay, so that's our meme theory now moving forward.
Yeah.
So, if you had to ask me, so I feel like what's going to happen here is either, potentially Bamwi Petit, just as a rule, because we were thinking that coming out of Stump Day was sort of the specific one, but it's kind of been weird because some of the dynamics being shown in Stump Day really... like Marco being super duper jealous there really hasn't become relevant again, and Kelly hasn't showed up yet. So there is a pretty working running theory that Stump Day was just kind of the traditional holiday meme episode of just like
it's not truly canon.
It's not truly, it's they take the status quo at the time and then just say, okay, well, here's where all the characters individually are, and then just have them do whatever works for the episode, even if it's not 100% consistent with the linearity of their character. So, Kelly had a moment with Marco, and Marco is in danger. Have Kelly care about Marco. Marco is seeing Tom Star, and he has unrequited feelings. Just have him get super jealous. Like, even if it doesn't fit, just have it happen because... drama, and the episode literally had a very clear the moral of the day, I learned my lesson, I'm a good boy now. It was a caricature of that type of system at the end.
So we can assume that Tad's appearance in that wasn't true to his character.
Well, my point there was, I was sort of counterpointing that, was there were some theories that say Kelly that was a one-off anachronism, and Kelly was not meant to, that line of her caring for Marco, specifically in the Jana line, implying that she had a crush on Marco, just isn't meant to go anywhere. Sure. That's just a red herring. It's just a storyboarder that put that in because they thought it added to the episode and it didn't actually carry over anywhere.
Sure.
Or, if it were, then that means we're probably going to see Kelly in some capacity, probably in Bamwi Petit.
That would make sense.
Maybe Booth? Depending on who the wedding is. If the wedding is for someone that
Kelly and Tad wedding.
Well, I mean, the other thing is, since the guy's a goblin, some people were saying it might be related to Roy, the goblin dog guy.
Because he's marrying his truck.
And Kelly would actually have a reason to be at Roy's wedding. But either way, that point aside...
Because she's marrying Roy.
Exactly. But, my point is, whether or not it's... But Booth or Bamwi would be the episodes where she would show up. And if Kelly is there...
probably in Divide, I would expect.
As a warrior, perhaps. And if Kelly is there, there's a chance for Tad to be there.
Right.
So here's what's going to happen, I think, is that... So we're looking at Tad becoming a main character, right? Main character.
The most important
character of Season 4.
Maybe not the most screen time, but the most plot-relevant character for Season 4.
Okay, I know what's going to... Actually, I misunderstood you and I know where this is going.
Understand.
So he's going to watch this Korean drama, right? He's going to... And this Korean drama is going... It's Bamwi Petit, but I feel like that might be the title of the season finale. So the Korean drama is going to be Tinu Taitinu Go is going to be the name of the Korean drama, right?
Sure.
And, he's going to say, there's this character on the show that has a really similar voice to me. And then he's going to spend all of his time in Season 4, trying to mold himself after this character, Beast Boy. And then eventually, he'll crack and have Star try to use magic on him to turn him into Beast Boy. But it's going to go wrong. Horribly wrong. Okay. And he's going to turn into the Incredible Hulk, except with Beast Boy's voice.
But also hairy as fuck.
Yes, Harry, the Incredible Hulk, except very hairy and with Beast Boy's voice.
And with Bruce Banner's penis.
Yes, and with the Hulk's gigantic green zucchini. And he is just going to fuck everything up. Like, there's
Literally.
There's going to be this anticlimactic moment where Eclipsa is, like, about to do something, and then she just gets, like, completely drawn to the monster dog, because she likes monster dog.
Of course.
He's going to seduce Eclipsa.
Oh, yeah.
Because Eclipsa's primary interest in life is the monster dog.
Of course.
That's
her character at this point.
Her character at this point is, I like monster dog. So
I mean, who doesn't?
She's going to be swayed to the side of good by Dick.
Ah,
perfect. Have you ever read any of those, like those weird Japanese fucking dojins where, like slave to the Dick? That's what Eclipsa's gonna become.
No, I've definitely never read any of that.
So that's the
really good content on this, TV7 children's programming podcast.
So that is the season 4. That is like the climactic plot moment of season 4 is when all hope is lost and Eclipsa is about to overrun everyone with her supreme power. She will just get seduced by the dog.
Of course, by Tad Hulk's dog.
By Tad Beast Boy Hulk's dog.
Excellent.
And that will be the ending of it. Okay, so my meme theory, and my meme like route. It's not really a route. I just want your take, and you can get as serious or fun as you want with this. Is what is gonna be the deal with Marco and his warriors? Like, what's that gonna be?
Okay, so I think it's gonna be. I actually thought about this earlier. So I've been throwing around a lot of ideas. I've been seeing some ideas. I think at the very least, it's going to be stuff like, we know Tom's in the episode. I'm assuming Kelly's going to be there. She's like one of the only named characters who's actually known to be a fighter, who's not starring Marco really. I'm going to honestly say I think Rubariat, the Mime, the three artists, they're going to be there. We might have a surprise guest appearance by Alfonso and Ferguson, maybe, a la, what was that episode where the Mumin Independence Day episode, give them some magic weapons, they'll be fine. Probably some of the squires, Higgs back again, bringing that sassy ginger attitude into this episode, some other squires as well. And I think that's kind of the direction it's going to go, and we're going to get this, like, really epic, circle shot, like in the Avengers,
okay.
Circle shot around all the characters. Maybe get a little, like, a bunch of, like, weird, like, head turns, like, looking at each other, and they all nod, and then just, Meteor beats the living shit out of all of them.
Pretty much. Yeah, on a serious, like, on a joke note, yeah. On a joke note, my thought is they're going to be, like, Hekapu's going to follow, because it's Hekapu.
Sure,
She's going to follow Mark around anyway.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Nachos will probably be there.
Oh, that'd be fucking bad. Like,
I actually hope that happens.
Regardless of anything, Marco just, like, being
like, showing up, like, in his, like, there was that time where he was, like, riding
at
the
the
dragon.
very end of Running with Scissors.
Yeah, where he's like in like adult Marco clothes, but he's young Marco body, but riding the dragon still. There's some of that in Nightlife.
Yeah, right. It was just, he has the shirt on under.
Yeah, shirt on under. No, shirt off under. He's got abs, right?
Hopefully at this point.
Yeah, he's been
doing Squire stuff.
He's been doing some Squire stuff. Yeah.
He's prepping.
So we're gonna have
we're
gonna have like a hybrid adult teen Marco look. Ryan the Demon Cycle, Hekapu's swooning, like fucking Jana's like, I slapped that ass once, and Higgs is like fucking creaming herself over in the corner.
And when it says Star must face the courage to fight Meteor alone, it's the courage to like get that out of her mind.
Yeah,
it's literally what it is.
Because she's doing that thing where she did in Shield Star, where she's just slobbing on the knob, like her wand rather, for a while. She's just thinking about it, and then she's like, oh fuck, I have to go like save the kingdom, whatever. BRB. Wet dreams of Marco fucking me in the ass. I gotta go, like, save the world or whatever. And then she's gonna go do that, and then she's gonna go back to, like, wand on gentle vibrate,
I mean, there you go. I like it. Now, it's just, I am actually curious how official and because it could be anywhere from, okay, Marco, you go do this, and I'm gonna go do this, okay, bye. And then Marco's like, hey, I'll just, like, call up Tom because I need help. And, like, probably one or two other people. But, like, it'll just literally be, like, the teens going off on adventures. Or, how much of it's actually going to be played pretty straight and pretty serious of, like, Star's actually kind of queen. As her squire, Marco is actually put up, and,
he's relevant in a political
He's relevant in a political sense, and Star's actually giving him, like, an official command.
Of maybe even just a small group of knights or something
like
that.
Yeah, and even if it's not knight, like, to me, honestly, even if she doesn't give him an official command of knights, there's a huge difference between okay, I'm gonna go do this, and Marco, you go do this, and then Marco, like, calls up Tom, and, you know, an actual, like, okay, I'm queen, I need to go do this, Marco, I'm putting you in charge, and then, you know, even if he calls up, so, you know, I just want to get into, this is my working theory here for a moment, and this is just sort of, we have all of these individual episode synopses. I want to give my grander overview of where I think this is going, and I feel like the thing, now that we kind of have the individual snippets of the picture for every point along the way, I feel like every week we should, you know, there's only going to be, like, 2 more weeks of normal shit after this one. But I feel like every week we can kind of just give this, like, what is the rest of the season going to look like? Knowing what we know now, what do we think the broad path is going to be? And what I think is going to happen, personally, is the big thing to me that I said is, since Divide doesn't really seem like it's going to have time to tackle this triangle issue at all, my working theory is that entering the finale, like, the feeling stuff between Star and Marco is basically going to be at the absolute brink of, like, fully admitted mutual romantic feelings, whatever. Like, if not, you know, probably not spoken yet, but at that absolute, like, you know, basically the very next thing that happens is going to just, just like that, you know, bam, we're done, canon, whatever. So my working theory here, and because I made this comparison to Ember Island Players with Avatar: The Last Airbender before, and Avatar: The Last Airbender actually had a moment between Aang and Katara towards the, I don't remember the exact episode, but it was towards the end where they're going off to fight. I think it was in the finale where they're going off to fight in the final war, and Katara's on the ship, and then Aang has to go fly off and do his Avatar stuff. Mm-hmm. And they're just kind of like, oh yeah, you know, haha, goodbye, and then Aang is like, fuck it, and then just goes for it and kisses her.
Yeah, I mean, there's a point, well, the thing is, there's a point earlier in the show where he goes for that, but she's like, what the fuck do you just do, kid?
Well, I mean, yeah.
I think that was before, like, the solar eclipse thing, if you've ever watched the show. It was, like, mid-season finale kind of material.
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, different situation now where, basically, you know, my working theory, so I'm just gonna, just because I'm making the assumption that stuff is gonna be solved before then, here's what I'm gonna say, is we know Meteor is relevant, and whatever exactly its destruction she's causing is, there's clearly she's been active before week 5, and we haven't seen any of it yet.
Right.
So I'm going to suggest that Schooled, in whatever capacity, is going to be the premise of it. The reason that the episode is focusing on Xanos is because Pony goes there. But once Pony goes there,
we learn something.
We learn something about Meteora. Now, I have a meme theory, and I don't actually think this will make the episode good at all. And I feel like it is that the large bulk of the episode, like, you know, half of it, if not more, is actually just going to be a ponyhead adventure, like going on a mystery, going on like a detective case to find out something weird happening in Xanos. Sure. Then you'll find out Meteora, and then Colin Star, and that's Star and the Ponyhead sisters from the promo.
Yeah,
flying in
probably.
But it's going to be like a largely solo Ponyhead episode. Meme.
Which makes me want to die.
Who knows? I mean,
I actually kind of still hate Ponyhead a lot.
Yeah, who knows? And then there's going to be something with Meteora, whether or not Meteora, like, destroys the school or what, I don't know. Plus, I mean, even back in the original Saint Ogre's episode, there was, like, some weird foreshadowing with that room Star and Marco were in that had, like, the sun, the star, and, like, the, you know, moon, like, the lunar symbol around it. You know, who knows what could happen? Is Marco going to show up? I don't really know, but
I have no idea.
It's going to be, you know, the important thing, in my opinion, there is something with Meteor, right? Yeah. Booth Buddies. So my take on roughly how that's going to go is just because of the fact that we're getting into big epic plot shit where Star has to do things. I have a feeling that Divide and Conquer aren't going to have too much time for all kinds of completely internal self-reflection and emotional development. I mean, there will be some, but not like the, I'm going to sit down and think through my princess problems. It's, you know,
that conversation needs to have already happened.
To an extent, yes. You know,
the ball needs to already be rolling.
Exactly. And the ball isn't rolling right now at all.
I will say, if Star and Marco do not discuss her identity crisis with the princess thing from the trial in Booth Buddies, I will eat my goddamn shoe. I swear to God.
Yeah, no, I think that's, to me anyway, before we got these, like, week 5, or before we got these finale synopses, I was looking at that and thinking, maybe they'll talk about that. Maybe they'll exit the booth as just like, okay, we've emotionally opened up to one another again. This is nice. And then once that emotional openness happens between the two of them, like I said earlier, the sole difference between Marco's role as Squire and Star's role as, or his role as best friend in season 2 and his role as Squire right now, is that Star completely making herself vulnerable to him emotionally. That's the only difference between the two. And once that breaks down, you know, XD, guess what's going to happen? So my theory initially was that Booth Buddies would kind of just get over that hump of, like, breaking down the emotional vulnerability, talking about this princess stuff, and then the episode would more or less end there, perhaps with, you know, oh, they get, you know, if you want to ham it up a little bit, oh, you know, they get the photo booth picture at the end, and then Star looks at it and, like, blushes a little bit or something. Like,
sure.
You know, something to be like, okay, something's happening here. However, the thing that you gotta keep in mind is that because Tom is not the perfect angel Jackie is, and we're assuming he's the one that calls the breakup. He's the one that gets the clarity of mind to see what's going on and makes the decision that this is not best for us to keep it going. And I feel like Star is probably going to be in the mood to agree, more or less, but she's not thinking about it. And the thing about it is, because Tom isn't the perfect angel Jackie was, it's going to need to be really obvious that something has changed when they're interacting. And I'm not sure that my initial thought for Booth Buddies alone would be enough for that, unless it, like, you know, maybe Booth Buddies itself doesn't tackle it, but then it's, you know, it's clear,
it comes to a head like Bam Wee Patty or something
like that. But to me, it's there's got to, you know, from the beginning, from where we are right now to somewhere in week 5, where exactly it happens, there's got to be a pretty clear change, I think, in how Star acts around or treats the two of them that is the catalyst for things to go down. I think that's going to be what wakes Tom up, effectively.
Sure. Wakes Tom up inside.
Exactly. So my thought being, you know, Booth Buddies is that, like, pushing us over the line of, like, shit, I have feelings for Marco again. And then Bam Wee is Tom noticing that and being like, okay, this isn't going to work. And Star maybe, like, being upset about it, but then by the end of the episode being like, okay, yeah, and the breakup being the, oh fuck, yeah, I actually do have these feelings.
Yeah,
like,
basically. It could be the slap in the face that she needs.
She's unconsciously acting really weird and doesn't know why, and then Tom breaks up with her and she's like, oh, that's why I was acting weird. And then entering Divide is basically going to be like that Aang Katara moment towards the end, where it's, maybe they haven't said anything about it yet, maybe, you know, maybe they don't know one of them just makes
the big dick play.
I mean, honestly,
probably Star, like 85% probability of being Star.
Yeah, probably Star, because
Marco's a fucking pussy.
Also, he'd just be really weird. That'd be really weird if, like, Tom breaks up with her and he's like, all right, I got this now. Like, that would be... Yeah. So, and also, Star's the one sending him off on the mission. So, I'm predicting, personally, if you wanted to ask me, and obviously I can't call anything yet, if you wanted to ask me, my specific prediction for how this, like, the relationship arc leading up into the finale goes down is Booth Buddies sort of is the unconscious, like, definitely starting to feel differently. Bam Wee is, it's noticeable, Tom dumps her over it, and then the conscious realization kind of more or less hits right there. And then even if she hasn't, like, 100% in her mind, like, verbally stated, okay, yes, I am in love with Marco again, or I never stopped being in love with Marco, even if she doesn't, like, think that as a sentence in her mind, the send-off moment in Divide is going to push that over the edge.
Sure.
But it's going to be too late for them to actually have, like, an emotional talk about it. So that's going to be the send-off, like, now or never. Right?
Of course.
We're going to war now or never. I'm thinking, like, a hug or, like, a cheek kiss, not
You're not expecting, like, some like, just tonsil hockey.
Exactly. I'm not expecting that. And that's just because she technically wouldn't. Maybe Booth Buddies just does some weird shit, but I'm assuming that she doesn't know exactly how he feels at that point.
That's probably true.
This is
maybe
sort of,
this is true. So, I'm
going to keep talking. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to get in plot stuff here too, because.
Oh no.
So no, because
we haven't got the plot stuff yet. Okay.
Yeah, because this is finale is all about, you know, like tough love. Like I said, I expect it's going to be Moon and Eclipsa go after Meteora, but instead of bringing her back, they get stopped because either Eclipsa turns on Moon or Meteora turns on them both. I don't know what's going to happen, but one way or another, that episode does not end with them bringing Meteora back peacefully to the castle. That ends with Moon being gone and Meteora starting to come to the castle. So, fuck if I know exactly how that's going to go.
Of course.
But That's all I can say about it. And then, so the way I kind of see Divide going is you have these two groups splitting, and then you have Tom and Marco, and this is just a minor thing that I want to see. I don't know if it'll happen, but I want to see it personally, is that the planning stage is going to be, and this would be if the Marco and his warriors thing isn't like an official start actually as an army for him, but rather it's like the Avenger, like the Muni Avengers, this is the star.
Please give me that circle shot, baby.
So my thought behind it is that rather than Star and Marco calling up everyone for a round table, Star and Marco plan this out, and then she could puts him in charge, and he calls up Tom. Because to me, I feel like if the relationship side of this from Tom is going to be the, welcoming him back as a friend and accepting him into that, I feel like it has a lot more meaning if it's Marco inviting Tom as a trusted friend and partner,
right,
versus Star doing it because
your ex
you're just
trying to grab you back in.
And not only that, but or maybe Tom volunteers to do it as okay, I get it, we broke up, but I know I need to be here for you now because I'm your friend and ally, and I actually care about this. That'd be great. That'd be great too. There's a bunch of ways this could go. Right. It depends. How does she find out that she's acting? Does she find out in Tough Lovers, the opening of Divide? Hey, Mom, I'm home. Mom, where are you? Eclipsa, what did you do with my mom? Who fucking knows?
Why are you wearing Moon's dress, Eclipsa?
Why are you fucking a river, Eclipsa?
Oh, no. He isn't nearly big enough for her.
He's a girthy lad, Porter.
He does. He's an expert at the apology meet.
Exactly.
So after, that wonderful, well-rounded, well-thought-out synopsis of what we have going forward, all I can really add to this.
I got more to add to Conquer, my friend.
Oh, God damn it. Okay, continue.
We're going long, but this is going to be the longest one by far because we have the
so much shit.
We have the entire rest of the season to talk about,
and we got a little distracted once or twice.
But I think it's been fine. Honestly,
fine.
We've been continuously talking about relevant stuff and not staying on one topic for too long.
That's fair.
So the thing that I think is going to happen moving forward here is just because I was saying earlier that my theory, the premise of Divide is that Marco's group is delaying Meteora, whereas Star's looking for Moon. So something is going to come to a head there for both groups. Whether or not it's Meteora soundly defeats them and captures them, whether it's Meteora barrels past them and Marco escapes barely while the others get captured and Marco has to go off on his own, and I don't know. But by the end of Divide, those two things are gonna be quote unquote done. Right? You're not still going to have Star going off on a solo mission to find Moon and conquer. You're not still going to have Marco's warriors delaying Meteora. It's going to be the next phase, moving into Conquer.
Right.
So my theory here, and this is just kind of because no matter what Meteora's intentions are, the couple things I want to point out are that Marco in this season has been a lot more of a consistent man of action.
Yes, which is great, honestly.
And not only a man of action, but actually he's been taking a bit of initiative on his own.
Right. Nightlife is literally...
Nightlife being an example where he is doing things... his intention is to help Star, and he wants to go on an adventure, sure, but...
And he also wants to fuck that thick ass.
Maybe, but I don't know. If he did, he wouldn't bother going back to Star at night. Let's be real here.
Okay, to be fair, it's completely reasonable, go back to, it's like when you go out, you smash some chick, and you just go hang out with your bros the next day. It's the same fucking thing. Star,
But in this case, he's also in love with his bro.
It's fine. It's
bros,
dude, we're all in love with our
bros before hoes.
But what if your bro is a hoe? That's the good shit.
Yeah. But so we've got Marco taking initiative in his role of being an actual partner to Star and helping stuff out. So my thought process is that compared to stuff like BFM where he just kind of watches on the sideline. He's doing stuff, BFM is not really his fault. It's sort of a comedy of errors where everything he's doing is circular, and none of it matters, because he gets trapped in the dungeon, escapes the dungeon, goes on a mission to find the key, and by the time he gets back to River, he is about to free River, and he does so right as Voodoo comes back in and sends River off in the sky anyway.
Right.
And then he's planning the resistance, and then, he goes and saves Star, and then gets captured. So, it's a comedy of errors where he's not actually accomplishing anything, despite himself trying, whereas... that really hasn't been happening this season, and I feel like that would kind of be unfortunate for Marco to just be, running around in a circle, like, as a joke, again, I feel like that gag isn't going to be played again, right? It's either, if he's going to be in it, which I think he is, because Meteora is the one actual, like, plot-relevant character in the show that he's the one with a direct connection to. Whether or not her motivations are still focused on him at all.
And trying to murder him really hard.
Like, who knows if that is still her driving motivation of some kind. But the fact that Marco symbolically is tied heavily into the arc of this villain makes me just really... And the fact that he is not a sideline character in terms of action, not that he really ever was, but he's stepping up consistently to the plate as a direct, like, battling alongside Star or as her guardian angel.
Right.
And the fact that, Meteora is tied to Marco, I feel like he's going to be relevant in Conquer in a big way. And when I was talking earlier, I mentioned that synopsis. It read to me less like a blanket for the episode and more like a description of a pivotal moment.
Yes, I agree.
Here's my thought here. My thought is, if that synopsis were the blanket for the episode, then it would be like a rather long, winding period of time of her not having the courage to face Meteora, of her maybe getting pep talks from people or something like that. I don't know.
Like the Persona 3 ending, where all your friends come up to you in a foggy void and give you pep talks, and then you sacrifice your soul to defeat, like, an all-knowing god trying to destroy the world.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying that's how it would go, but I'm just saying it would be like a longer, winding thing, and then she would be like, okay, I'm ready to do it now. But the way... Here's my hot take on that synopsis is she must face the courage to fight Meteora alone. Well, if Marco was the one in charge of delaying her in Divide, and she has to face him alone, where the fuck is Marco? Because my theory is that as long as Marco is physically able, he's going to be trying to do things. So my theory is, okay, so this synopsis looks like it's, the pivotal moment, right? Like in the final moment, she needs to get the courage to do it alone. So here's my theory, is that she's fighting with allies, as part of a team, and specifically with Marco. And in that final moment, Marco gets taken out of the picture. And the courage she has to find is to finish the job with him recently being in imminent danger.
Right, sure.
And my thought is, does he make a sacrifice for her? I mean, that would be very in line with his character right now. I can't say how it will be relevant, but I just feel like the her fighting it alone the episode isn't going to be like a montage.
It's not going to be a fucking training montage.
It's not going to be a training montage, and it's not going to be like 20-something minutes. It's not going to be like 15 minutes of her alone in a DBZ battle with Meteora. To me, that...
I'd watch that, though, to be fair.
To me, that'll... As long as there isn't something completely fucky here, and by fucky, I mean, like, Meteora goes butterfly form and drags him to the realm of magic, like her and Star. But my thought is, the alone part is the pivotal moment.
I want to see that.
That'd be fun.
I want to see, like, Meteora and Star in butterfly form in the realm of magic. There's, like, the screaming unicorn of magicness just out from the corner, reeing into the nth dimension.
So, but like I said, my...
Actually, real talk, though, for a second. Is the realm of magic the nth dimension?
That's a good question.
Asking the real questions here.
We'll do some mathematical analyses of it this week.
We'll bring that back.
We'll bring that back next week. But that's my actual. This is, I'm not even saying this as a Starco whatever. I want the moment to happen. I'm saying this is just the way the synopsis reads to me is the reason she needs to find the courage is because in the pivotal moment she becomes alone. When she wasn't before.
Yes.
And whether that's Marco, whether it's Moon, if Moon is found and is, like, sacrificing herself, like...
Hell, it's fucking Eclipsa. Eclipsa is fighting Meteora for some reason.
Like, who knows exactly what it will be, but it's that final... the climactic point of change is Star becoming alone when she wasn't before.
Right.
And how exactly that happens, I don't know. And the decision that will alter the kingdom. Okay, that's just complete speculation, I don't know. Again, my working theory. Now, we do know Eclipsa is going to be in Season 4. That should have been obvious, by the way. Eclipsa is in Season 4. Okay, cool. Like, no one was, No one was really going to call anything different. And anyone that called anything different would not be doing so anymore.
Right.
Because Meteor is the villain that's actually going to potentially be removed from the show.
Do we have any hard evidence that says Meteor is in Season 4?
We have no evidence that she is or is not.
Okay. So technically it's possible she has like a meaningless XD death, but I doubt that. So I actually think the meaningful choice Star has to make is when she has to decide whether she's going to, pull a Toffee 2.0 and just laser blast Meteora into death or to like actually, go through due process and actually punish her for her crimes.
We also don't actually know what her crimes are. We don't know anything about what she's doing.
That's true. That makes this hard.
We can't say anything. Now, the other thing is, some people have been saying that, that if there's this whole thing with her being the rightful heir to the throne, it's not just going to be if I don't kill her, the kingdom burns to the ground. There will be some other stakes at play of some kind.
Right.
Who knows what they'll be, but the other thing, and again, this is just spitballing here, is the decision that could change the kingdom could have some, it could be something related to how she, quote-unquote, defeats Meteora, or something with Eclipsa. It could also be, if you wanted to, because there have been parallels between Star and Eclipsa thus far, and in some cases they've been breaking down a bit. There was a lot of parallels that people were trying to draw very early on, like at the beginning of the season in like the week 1 of 3A with Stranger Danger, and we're talking about like, oh yeah, there's Star got back together with Tom as part of her becoming a better princess mantra, and now you have Eclipsa whose whole thing is, screw being a princess, I ran away for love. I stopped focusing on my duties because of love, and it was the best decision I made. And people were thinking, oh, that's how the thing with Marco is going to go. But no. Marco is actually more relevant to the politics side of things than Tom is right now. So like that part of the breakdown is gone. However, if, and this is a big if here, that this critical decision for the kingdom comes down to, in some way, kingdom over self or love or something, whether it's Moon, whether it's Marco, just some choice of, do I do the thing that would, that from an outside perspective would look like the best option for the situation, or do I do what I feel I need to do?
Sure, that's very possible.
For saving Moon, saving Marco.
You could have a situation where you have to save Moon or save the kingdom or something.
I mean, something like or let someone escape when you could finish them off otherwise. Maybe even let Eclipsa. Maybe they defeat Meteora and then Eclipsa's on the ropes and then they have to let Eclipsa escape. Who knows? But there's a lot of shit that can go down, and the only there's a lot of shit that can go down, and it's cool seeing that Meteora seems to be the big bad, but really the only really major new pieces of inferencing that I can get from these finale synopses, and they are major, don't get me wrong, but the only truly game-changing things I can get from them are that it's basically 100% confident in my eyes that triangle bullshit is dead before Divide, and because that's gonna change.
I really hope it's dead before Divide.
I hope it's dead. Well, it's dead before Divide, and also the internal feelings angst, which includes figuring out feelings, is that itself I think is going to be almost dead before Divide.
Yeah.
And then also the fact that Meteora appears to be the big bad of the season and not Eclipsa. Again, that should have been obvious because Eclipsa is relevant in season 4. So if she was going to be the big bad in the climactic showdown here, they would have to lose. Right. Or it would have to be a stalemate where she gets out alive and then goes into the forest to plot. Who knows? But the fact that it's Meteora, it sets up, it could change Eclipsa, something happening with Meteora. Meteora dying could very heavily change Eclipsa's motivations moving forward.
Right. She could become some angry, revenge-driven, grieving mother bringing hellfire down upon the butterfly lineage or something.
Yeah. So, who knows there, but overall, there's just a lot of shit there. So, I mean, that was this whole thing sprungboard off of my meme theory about the Warriors, or the meme route about the Warriors. So, let's just break it down one last time with something a little bit more lighthearted and humorous.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just want to tell you, Porter, if you could design a school for wayward princesses, and you could run it your way, what would you give exams on?
Memes.
Just memes.
Memes, probably music, because I'm a nerd, and some other nerdy shit, and then math. Math is pretty neat.
Memes, music, and math. So it'd be like St. Mocha's with an M, because you got
St. Memes.
St. Memes.
Yeah. You take every semester you take one math class, you take one music class, and 3 different meme classes. You take one on history, one on memes from an artistic perspective, one on memes from a technical perspective.
I appreciate that. So
and then your fourth year of school or whatever your last year is, your last semester is like a capstone project where you use your knowledge of music and memes from multiple angles to create very high quality, video type memes.
I appreciate that.
Create your own meme trend.
So I do just want to ask you. This is really important. If I had a daughter who was a princess at some point in the future, and I was considering enrolling her in Saint Memes, I would really want to know. So what is your YouTube poop department like?
Well, we found the guy who made the introducing quarter A presses, of course.
Okay, the SM64 guy.
Yeah.
I actually kind of know him. Fun story. He's actually a member in the Homestuck community.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I don't know him, but he has been in servers that I've been in before for other reasons.
Probably we have to get in the guy who did Succ, Orpheus, FTW. We have to get in the guy who did Wow It's Made, of course. Probably also the fellow in charge of probably Fesh Pins.
Yeah, whose name was it's Crobo Productions now.
Yes,
I believe.
yes.
It was Dyke Kike at the time. Obviously changed now.
Yikers.
But it is Crobo something. And that's also the same guy that made Steven Universe, as a matter of fact.
Oh yeah.
So
well, I mean, obviously we probably the guy in the dean of memes would obviously be Grande.
I mean, yeah, there's really no way around
and
that.
his undersecretary would probably was Dolan Dank or Dolan Dark or whatever that guy's name is.
Yeah, that's true.
That guy's pretty.
What about Water Guy 12?
I mean, Water Guy 12 is just he's our school mascot.
Okay. I appreciate that. God bless. Okay, before this devolves any farther and we actually decide that we need to kill ourselves for the betterment of society.
Oh, I already decided that years ago, Ben.
But it's okay. We still at least wait until the show is over.
Yeah,
by the show, I mean Star Versus. I mean, please wait until this show is over too. I don't want to be traumatized by you just shooting yourself through the face.
Oh Jesus! We have been here for an hour and 25 minutes, everybody. And it's 11:20 p.m.
I mean, that's fine.
That's fine.
That's perfectly fine. But so
before we get too insane, we should probably say toodles to our wonderful audience of 4 people who are going to watch this. So,
hell yeah.
I've been Port Dog.
I have been, and will hopefully continue being Endgame.
And Yikers.
Yikers. This has been BBB, the B emoji Star versus podcast where we just
Emmy-winning Star versus Forces of Evil.
No, it's the Emmy win. No, it's we can say the Emmy-winning Star versus the Forces of Evil podcast because it's the Emmy-winning Star versus the Forces of Evil podcast.
Oh,
it's not wrong. So we get to say that now all the time. We're gonna do this. This is going on our fucking banner image. Just wait and see. This is gonna go on our banner image, guys. It's gonna be great. But that will be all for us. I'm gonna go draw the fucking banner image now so we can get this up on fucking YouTube. Take care, everyone.
Have a good night.